This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, I'm Sabrina Brown. Thank you for joining us. Topping the news tonight, the island of Grand Bahama continuing to make progress in the rebuilding efforts. As the island moves swiftly to return to normalcy, the vital tourism industry is also on its way back to full swing. Tonight, the port director at the Freeport Harbor says they are pleased with the restoration of that port of entry. Megan Shepard reports.
As Grand Bahama continues to celebrate the return of the first cruise ship to the island on Monday morning, Port Director at the Freeport Harbor, Captain Orlando Forbes, says that it took a lot of work to bring the harbor back to a condition to accommodate cruise vessels.
Strengthening the fence line, we lost 4 gazebos, so we had to do a lot of work cleaning up. Thank God the berths were fine, the fendering system was fine, and there was no obstruction in the water that prevented the cruise lines from coming alongside. And so we were able to provide them with that level of assurance, and they were happy to return once electricity was restored and we had water for the guests to use, realizing that those things helps the guest experience. And so once we were able to provide them with that level of comfort, they were happy to come back.
The Carnival Velour made its way to Grand Bahama, bringing some 3,200 persons. Forbes says this was greatly needed for the people of Grand Bahama.
So for the vendors, the tenants of the harbor, the taxi drivers, and all of those who depend on the harbor to support them, this is significant. Carnival, shortly after the storm, approached us and asked us what they could do, and we simply said to them to continue to support Grand Bahama. And once we were able to provide them with the assurance that the island was back and that the tour capacity was there, they came back and and they said to us that they will continue to support and be here for us.
Forbes says he has been in contact with other major cruise lines and shares projected arrival dates.
NCL is the second major cruise line that calls at Freeport. She has said to us that she will be returning on the 22nd of this month and upholding her schedule, and so that as well. So it means that in terms of all our projections going through to the end of the year, that business is back for all intended purposes.
However, there is still more to be done at the Freeport Harbor.
We still have some work to do in terms of Terminal 1, obviously, which is where the celebration berths, but they're away for Bimini for a short time frame until the hotel is restored. And so while they're there, we'll do some work on Terminal 1. Valeria, who has been using Terminal 2, has been supporting us tremendously, bringing in hurricane supplies and really being what I would like to term a lifesaver for the community. And so we would like to say a huge thank you to them as well.
Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Another ship calling at the Freeport Harbor, the second in as many days. As chance would have it, this vessel, the Celebrity Infinity, was headed to New Providence with 2,100 passengers on board, but because of choppy seas, the ship was diverted to Freeport. There was a plaque exchange on board the ship, and passengers were able to disembark and explore the island. Port Director of the Freeport Harbor, Orlando Forbes, and Sports Director of the Ministry of Tourism, Nuvalari Chadasingh, say this is good news for Grand Bahama. They believe it is another indication that things are getting back to normal here on Grand Bahama. It's been 4 weeks now since the passing of Hurricane Matthew, and while some sectors of society are returning to normal, there is concern tonight about the condition of public schools. An official of the Bahamas Union of Teachers is calling for immediate repairs to schools in the district.
I thank the teachers and administrators for their effort at trying to get the Grand Bahama community back to a sense of normalcy after the hurricane.
Area Vice President of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, Quintin LaRoda, is disappointed that repairs to public schools on Grand Bahama following Hurricane Matthew have not started to date. Despite this, he says schools were reopened and teachers agreed to return to the classroom in what he calls less than ideal conditions.
Some of them are teaching without ceiling in their room. And they agreed to take the challenge on and try their best to provide the education for those students at a time when we need to get back to the sense of normalcy. And I think that is to be commended highly by all. The administrators who use some of their own funding from school, who use friends and connections to try to get the repairs done.
The union executive admits that education officials have been keeping the union updated on efforts to repair local schools, but he says it's taking too long. There are 21 public schools on the island, and according to LaRota, they were all impacted by the storm.
Some schools just had to be cleaned and debris moved, and then they would have been all right to open. There were other schools that had total devastation, like Bartlett Hill, Lewis Yard, so they had to move them from there. And then you had schools that suffered. They weren't as bad as Bartlett Hill, but they were near to it, like 8 Maloc High School suffered a tremendous amount of damage. And you show up, and what people don't realize too, is the psychological effect.
LaRota says while he received information that repairs to local schools will start this week, it has been more than a month since the passing of the Category 4 hurricane, and he believes a contingency plan must be put in place going forward.
Our governments need to have some contingency plan, and even if only $9 to $10 million for immediate repair of schools, hospitals, and police stations, where you don't have to go through all of the bureaucracy and the red tape. So you also cannot have a district office for education that don't have the ability to respond to even small and minor repairs. The office here needs some funding.
Now, Ministry of Education officials didn't offer a comment regarding the union's claims. 2 public schools benefiting from a nonprofit missionary group out of South Florida today. They call themselves Soul Givers, and this morning the group made an unexpected stop on Grand Bahama, bringing with them hundreds of gifts. Megan Shepard has the story.
They say that when God has something for you, then nothing or no one can stop it. That was the case Tuesday morning as a missionary foundation was on its way to New Providence, but due to inclement weather, the group was diverted to Grand Bahama. Assistant Superintendent at the Ministry of Education, Marvin Roll, welcoming the Shoes Foundation to the Lewis Yard Primary School.
And our God is so awesome. I want you to hear this story. This group was headed to Nassau yesterday on the big Celebrity Infinity. It's so big that with the rough weather in Nassau, they couldn't get in the harbor. Freeport was not on the itinerary. They didn't know where exactly Grand Bahama was. But our awesome God diverted them, and so instead of getting off in Nassau yesterday and giving these gifts to the students in New Providence, not that they don't deserve them or need them, but the Lord had it that they would come to Grand Bahama today, and guess where they came first? Lewis Yard Primary School. Isn't our God awesome?
Member of the Shoes Foundation, Sarah Dean, says that they are excited to bring hundreds of gifts to the students. The group's medical director, Jody Gold, adds that the foundation also offers another vital service.
We are very excited to be here and to share. This is the only reason why we took this trip, so we are very excited that we could do this today. We are all a group of just volunteers. And so this is what we do, shoes. We provide new shoes to children all over the world who are in need. So we are very blessed to be here with you guys today.
The second part of what we do is a medical contribution where we take children who have orthopedic conditions for foot and ankle problems, and we fix those so that they can walk pain-free.
Student Lavanda Saunders expressing gratitude to the group, along with Principal Juanita Hanna.
I'm very thankful and grateful for this group that came here today because I lost some shoes inside the storm of Hurricane Matthew, and this can really help me a lot, and I can start to work my collection up again. So it's really great.
We're just so appreciative of this donation that you're doing for our students here at Lewis Yard Primary. You know, it's an awesome thing that you're doing for us children, and we really appreciate it, and I know their families appreciate it as well. And so on behalf of myself and the students and staff of Lewis Yard Primary and the Ministry of Education, we say thank you so very much.
The group also traveled to Bartlett Hill Primary School to make similar donations. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Certainly a great story. Thanks, Megan. Well, it's a big day in the United States of America. After months of rallies and political debates, Decision Day is here. Within hours, a new president will be elected to head the most influential country in the world. Republican candidate Donald Trump and Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton are vying for the presidency. This election is considered one of the most highly contested events perhaps in the history of the United States. We spoke with several U.S. visitors today who are looking forward to the close of this election process.
This is specifically for the ladies. Get out there and vote. Your grandmothers and your great-grandmothers fought pretty hard for that, so it doesn't matter if it's Trump or it's Clinton, just vote.
We voted before we left.
Okay, and how do you feel about that?
Oh, we're fired up for Hillary Clinton.
I voted ahead of time, and Hillary all the way. I have a lot of faith and a lot of things that she said.
I did early voting. This is what it's about. Making America great again. That's what it's about. We need a change. We definitely need a big change, and I think he's the one. He's going to give it to us.
Voted early and voted for Trump. I think he's not going to win, but I gave a good try.
Stay with us. There's more news after this.